How did you convince your parents to remove your bedtime rule? My brother saved our entire house because he refused to sleep. We had the strictest bedtime rule of any family I knew. 9 p.m. meant lights out, no exceptions, no matter what. Had projects or homework? Finish before 9. Exams? Study before 9. Gaming with friends? Definitely before 9. It didn't bother me much because I was 7, but it affected my brother a lot. He told me how he felt left out sometimes because his friends constantly texted about late night shows and online games he'd never see. My brother was the only 8th grader who had to be in bed before 4th graders. Growing bodies need 10 hours of sleep, Mom and Dad would say. Nothing good happens after 9 anyway. But my brother tried everything to change their minds. He offered to get straight A's in exchange for a 10:30 bedtime. He showed them studies about how teens only need 5 hours of sleep to function well compared to kids and adults, but they still refused. When you're 18, you can destroy your sleep schedule all you want. My brother looked heartbroken. 18 was so far off, and by then, he'd be too old to enjoy it. That's when my brother became an expert at fake sleeping. He learned to lie completely still with his eyes shut, breathing so evenly that Mom's flashlight checks never caught him. He could hear footsteps on the stairs from 2 rooms away and transform from wide awake to dead asleep in 2 seconds. After the 10 p.m. inspection, he'd wait exactly 20 minutes for our parents to pour their wine and start their TV shows. He made me promise never to tell. In exchange, he'd let me stay up too sometimes with him. It was like our own secret midnight meetings, and our parents never really caught on. They ended up bragging to everyone about how well we listened to their rules. But then, one day, my brother got cornered into a wall and was left with no choice but to confess. That day in April, a massive thunderstorm took over the town. The thunder practically shook the ground each time it got closer. No one at home seemed to be scared about it except me. So we followed the routine, went up to bed at 9 and slept, while my parents drank down wine and did whatever it was adults like to do past 9. By 10:30, my brother confirmed that they passed out hard. He hopped onto the computer and booted it up to play with friends while I went ahead and really slept. But a little past midnight, my brother shook me awake. I saw him staring down at me, fear abundant in his eyes, his hands shaking. "Do you hear that?" he whispered. "Yeah, it's raining a lot," I said, but he shook his head and pointed downward. I put my head onto the wooden floor and tried to find the sound, but it was muffled. He grabbed one of Mom's spare flashlights and peeked out from the room. He rushed back inside the room in a panic, his chest heaving up and down. "Oh God, what do we do?" Water had begun seeping under our front door, spreading across the entryway. My brother ran to the window and fell back. The entire street was flooded, some of the cars already half buried in muddy water. The storm drain at the corner was completely blocked, and water was rising quickly up our porch step. He ran to our parents' room and shook Dad hard. "Dad! Dad! The house is flooding!" Dad barely opened his eyes and mumbled, "Go back to bed." Mom didn't even respond when he tried to wake her. "Stay here and wake them up," he instructed me before running down to lift things from the floor onto higher areas. He made me help carry things upstairs while he went back for more. Photo albums, Mom's work laptop, Dad's important papers from his desk, anything our little arms could carry. The water was rising so fast it reached my knees within minutes. Suddenly, my brother screamed at the top of his lungs, "Go upstairs now! Don't move!" He saw the water sloshing dangerously near the outlets and instinctively ran into the garage to shut off the electricity. Then he ran back up completely soaked from his waist below and slapped Dad's face hard. Dad sat up abruptly with his eyes wide, angry at first until he saw me and my brother burst into tears. "Oh God, what happened? Why are you both wet? Did you go out in the rain?" My brother grabbed Dad's phone and handed it to him. "Dad, please call 911 now. Our house is flooded." Dad stumbled out to see the water already creeping up onto the first 3 steps of the house. His face went completely white as he scrambled to call an emergency hotline. Dad covered us up in raincoats and dragged us all the way up into the attic while we waited for the rain to settle down. Hours later, we climbed onto the roof of the house and sat around while firefighters rescued us and our neighbors on boats and helicopters. They later told my parents that if the water had reached the electrical outlets, it could have been fatal. "Your son saved you thousands in damages, maybe your lives," and that was enough to change our bedtime from 9 to 10.